What is going on, my broskies? My name is Toadski and I am back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video we're going to be breaking down how to beat the Hawkins Chaos Difficulty Coliseum. Now I know a lot of people who already know what Hawkins does. We're very much looking forward to this finally coming out, and he is finally here. So next week, Chaos Difficulty Coliseum Hawkins will be out, and in this video we're going to be teaching you guys how to actually prepare for it, and a really good free-to-play team in order to beat the 30 stamina Chaos Difficulty Hawkins Coliseum. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into the video. So first of all, let's go ahead and start breaking down this character. So here we have Basil Hawkins, the Magician, who is a 5-star unit and is a Dex Cerebral Striker type character. Now at max level, at level 99, he has 2,239 HP, 1,278 attack, and 347 recovery. So overall, all of his stats altogether are really well rounded for a 5-star unit, and he has 40 cost and 3 socket spots, which is really nice. Now his captain ability will boost the attack of Cerebral and Striker characters by 2 times, and then it will deal 5 times the damage received in the previous turn as Dex damage to all enemies at the end of that turn. So it's basically like, if you guys have seen the captain ability of Raid Boss Kuma, he has a very similar captain ability to him, where he'll deal damage depending on how much damage you receive in the previous turn as damage. So it is a decent captain effect, but not the greatest, because it only is a 2 times boost, so it isn't really that strong. Now his special ability is where this guy shines the most. So starts at 24 turns and will max at 12 turns. It changes the orbs on the top row to strength, the middle row will get dex orbs, and the bottom row will get quick orbs. So for teams specifically like Log Luffy teams will be using this guy a lot, because obviously you're going to be using the double captains as Log Luffy and their strength captains, and then you have 2 dex characters in the middle, including Basil Hawkins himself, and then your bottom row you can just chuck in some quick units. So this guy is going to be very awesome, and I know already a lot of people are going to be using him when he comes out. He's a very powerful unit, and he only maxes at 12 turns, which is really awesome as well. So overall, this is a character that I would recommend a lot of people to max out, because he can just be used on so many different teams, especially with really nice orb manipulators, and he's just an amazing unit overall. Really good stats, 3 socket spots, and an amazing special. Let's go ahead and break down the first fight of the Chaos Difficulty Hawkins Coliseum, which is against Porsche. Now, Porsche has 320,000 HP, and she'll attack you every turn for nearly 3,000, and she has a preemptive attack that will make red, green, and blue specials on your team are sealed for 5 turns. So, you know, as soon as you enter this room, the first 5 turns you cannot use any of those specials, which is really annoying. However, she does not have a delay protector or anything like that, so you can go ahead and delay this character, which makes it a little bit more easier to take down. And then every 2 turns, all of your orbs on your team will be switched to either Bother or Tandem orbs. So if you guys have some sort of special that will be able to shuffle those around or just change them into another orb, that would be you know, really good in order to try and beat this really easily. So I would actually highly recommend bringing an int team, an intelligence team, as you know, a lot of these characters are going to be yellow, so that's going to be really good, as well as their specials will not be sealed because of the preemptive attack. So highly recommend an int team in order to beat the Porsche stage on fight number 1. Moving on to fight number 2, is it against Don Krieg. Now, Don Krieg here has approximately 700,000 HP, and he'll attack you every 4 turns for 15,000 damage on that 4-turn cooldown. Now, he doesn't actually do anything aside from his preemptive attack, which will inflict poison to your team, which means you're going to be taking 4,500 damage every single turn if you have a 6-man crew, which is, it's quite a hefty cost. You know, 4.5k is a lot of damage every single turn. And he'll also apply an 8-hit combo shield, so you have to deal 8 hits to him before you can actually deal any damage to him. And, you know, he's pretty tanky, you know, 700,000 HP, and you have to, you know, make sure that your first 8 hits actually don't do anything. So it's going to be really difficult with this one. I would still highly recommend potentially a Mihawk team, just because of the fact that you can just go ahead and use the 30% health cut. However, you got to be careful, because Don Krieg actually isn't affected by that with his combo shield. If they have a combo shield, they're not affected by that. But it makes taking out the characters behind Don Krieg a lot more easier, and then you can try and focus your attacks on Don Krieg himself. But ideally, you'd want to bring a really strong Psy team, as, you know, you can probably take out the other characters really easily with the Psy team, because they do neutrally hit for every attribute aside from Int, where it's double damage, and then you can do lots of damage to Don Krieg himself. So overall, I would recommend bringing a really strong Psy team. If you have Strongword Shanks, he would be the most ideal to try try and take down this one, and that's probably the one I'm going to be using in the video once he comes out. But overall, shouldn't be too difficult on the second fight of the Hawkins Chaos Difficulty Coliseum. Moving on to the third fight, it is against the Gear 3 Monkey D. Luffy. Now, Luffy has 2.6 million HP, and he'll attack you every single turn for 4,500 damage. Now, he does have a preemptive attack that will apply a delay protector for 998 turns, so there is no point in bringing a delayer as you cannot actually use them against Luffy himself. Now, on the third turn, if he is still alive, he will deal 15,000 damage to you, and then he'll go over to a 3-turn cooldown, and then 3 turns after that, if he is still alive at that stage, he will then do 4,500 damage to you and then go back to a 1-turn cooldown. So I would still strongly recommend to try and take him down within the first couple of turns, just so you don't take that 15,000 damage, because obviously you don't want that to happen. And he's a red unit, so ideally you'd want to bring potentially a raid boss and an L team. That would be really, really good, and bring a couple of orb boosters, maybe like Kaku. If you have Thatch to give yourself a couple of blue orbs, that would be highly recommended as well. Ideally, if you guys have, 6-star Dofi, the blue Lucci from story mode, he is amazing. So I would highly recommend, bringing those types of characters just to give you some blue orbs. And as I said, you got an orb booster with Kaku, or a 6-star Dofi, of course. And NL himself will give you 2x type boost to your quick characters, and that'll be dealing a lot of damage to Luffy. So if you guys have that sort of team, a lot of really powerful blue units, that is what I would recommend against Monkey D. Luffy on fight number 3. Moving on to fight number 4, we have Sanji. Now, Sanji has 2.35 million HP, and he'll attack you every 2 turns for 8,400 damage. Now, he does have a preemptive attack that will chain your bottom left unit for 99 turns. So, the unit that goes in your bottom left position is useless for this entire fight. So make sure you put a unit in there that potentially might not give you any statistical benefit, but maybe bring a unit that has a lot of sockets on it so your team gets benefited overall, or just a unit that has maybe a lot of HP so your crew gets a lot more health so you can take a couple of hits more, or just something like that. Or just because you just got to make sure that bottom left unit isn't that useful to your crew. Otherwise, you're going to be left out using a really good special or a really useful unit. So just make sure that the unit in the bottom left hand side when you come up against Sanji is someone that you really do not care about, as they will be chained for 99 turns. Now, after every 2 turns, there's actually like a specific thing that will happen. You can see on turn 1, you get a unit chained for 1 turn. Turn 3, it's for 3 turns, and turn 5, you get a random unit chain for 5 turns. And if he falls below 20% HP, he'll deal 11,000 damage to you. So, gotta be careful about that. Highly would recommend at least level 1 chain sockets against this guy. And then just a team that would be able to beat this really easily would just be a double Mihawk team. You just shave down, 50% of his HP pretty much, and then burst him down, with an orb boost like the raid boss Dofi, and a type boost with potentially Koza, Mr. 1, anyone like that boost slashes, and you should be really, really well off against Sanji. Now we're moving on to the final fight, Fight 5 against Sanji. Now before we actually reach Hawkins himself, you have to fight Sanji once again. Now this Sanji is the exact same as the previous one, except that you can see that he has actually a lower health bar. He only has 1 million HP this time, and he attacks for 7,800 this time as well. So he is a little bit easier to deal with, not as much HP, but still really, really annoying because your bottom left unit is still chained for 99 turns, even when you're going to go into Hawkins as well. So you have to prepare for that as well. Make sure you're bringing the correct team composition, and then after you beat Sanji, we're going to move on now against Hawkins. So in that same run that you beat that Sanji, you have to go on here over Fight 5 Stage 5 against the final boss, Basil Hawkins. So Basil Hawkins has 2.2 million HP, and he'll attack you every 3 turns for 13,912, and he does have a preemptive attack that will apply a counter. So if you guys remember the Rebecca Coliseum, there was a counter enabled on that one as well, where after 2 turns they're going to deal a certain amount of damage to you depending on how much damage you dealt to them, and in Basil Hawkins' case, how much ever damage you deal to him in that second turn, or in that first and second turn combined, it will deal 1% of that as damage to you. So if you deal 1 million damage, he's going to deal 10,000 damage to you. So you have to prepare for that. Make sure that if you are going to take that hit, that you actually can take that hit. Otherwise, just try and burst him down in the first 2 turns, because he is on a 3-turn cooldown, and you do get 2 turns to kill him before he actually activates the counter. So definitely, I would highly recommend that you try and burst him down within those first 2 turns. Otherwise, you're going to be taking a hell of a lot of damage. Otherwise, if you can take the hit, then you might as well, you just take the hit and then go ahead and try and kill him before he actually does the 13,000 damage to you with his regular attack. And then after he actually does his regular attack of 13,900, he will then apply the counter once again. So he's a little bit tricky, but overall, he's actually really simple, actually. He's really simple, you know, as long as you can take him out within the first 2 turns. 2.2 million is actually reasonably easy to deal in 2 turns with the right team composition, of course. So you really shouldn't have any problems with it. But one thing you do have to take into account is that you got to remember that one of your units, the bottom left-hand unit, will be chained for 99 turns before even reaching Hawkins himself. So you got to be very, very careful about that. And as I said, it's very, very important. I can't stress this enough. Your team composition has to be correct. Otherwise, you could get a really important unit chain, and it's probably going to spell the end of your run. So moving on now to the notable drops that you guys can get in the Chaos Difficulty Coliseum against Basil Hawkins. You can see that you can get every single types of cotton candy, HP, attack, and recovery boost, and also the all types recovery as well. You can also get Forbidden Tomes, which is what everyone is looking for, of course. Forbidden Tomes will guarantee you 1 random socket. You can also get the skill books of Basil Hawkins himself, so you can try and, you know, max him out with both the copies and also the skill books that you can get in the dungeon itself. And he does only need 12 skill ups, so it shouldn't be that difficult to get overall. And you can also drop cola and belly bags, so you know, that's kind of just there if you need to level up a ship. Potentially you can get some cola, and belly bags are quite common within the Coliseum. So now let's go over to a free-to-play team that all of you guys out there will be able to use against the Basil Hawkins Chaos Difficulty Coliseum. Now, obviously, free-to-play slasher teams are always going to be a really, really solid team, especially if you have the Coffin Bow to give you a lot of HP to tank a lot of hits. And, you know, you got the double Mihawk. You use that as soon as you enter the final room against Basil Hawkins. You shouldn't have to use any specials when you're up against Sanji. Just keep attacking him until he actually dies. And then when you get to Basil Hawkins, you activate your double Mihawk special. And the random unit you can see on that team just can be anything. As I said, you know, it's going to be chained. That unit will be chained on your crew, so you really have to just put in whatever unit you want. It could be just a unit just for extra sockets, or it could be a unit for extra stats, like extra HP. It really does not matter. You've also got Doflamingo, the Raid Boss Doflamingo. He is amazing. Highly recommend to max him out if you guys haven't done so already. He just lets you just do so many more things in the game of One Piece Treasure Cruise when he is at max skill level. Now, the other 2 units can just be really, really powerful strength slashers, but I would highly recommend Mr. 1 because he boosts your slasher character's attack. He's really, really strong, and he's also a strength unit against Basil Hawkins, which always helps. Then you've also got Arlong. You can just really switch that out for whichever strength slasher that you have that's really, really strong. Another unit that might work out would be Ohm. Ohm from the Skypian Islands. If you actually have him at max skill and max level or whatever, he might be really, really good because he has a really cool special that will enable it so that you're going to be getting consistent strength, dex, and quick orbs. So it's going to be really good that you can, you know, potentially get quite a few strength orbs, and then you use Doflamingo to give the strength orbs to your strength slashers, and that will enable you to deal a lot of damage against Basil Hawkins, and you should be able to take him out within the first 2 turns of reaching the final stage. That is going to conclude yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video, and if you guys have enjoyed it, make sure to smack the like button down below. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.